brothers, sisters, siblings, welcome to Penn Sunday School starring Penn Gillette. My name is Michael Goudreau. Matt, Reddy, Rich, Penn, and I are broadcasting from our separate homes in Las Vegas. Today we'll talk a little bit about the residents, who we'd have in our hero garden. Reddy and Goudreau take a pilgrimage to see oversized machinery, and we'll read a little viewer mail. Here he is preaching love, Mr. Penn Gillette.
Hi, preaching love. That's me. I didn't tell you guys this, did I? But I've been training with Jason Garfield.
Yes.
And it's brutal, but I make improvements. I have had real trainers work with me for a while, and I've never made an improvement every day. You're usually looking at a month or a couple weeks for improvements. I can do more push-ups and more sit-ups and more everything every day. It's horrible. I hate it.
Right.
But boy, the results are amazing. I feel different. And I have been, I was just doing this. We did this interview for the Discovery channel about these treasures. And the guy started out by talking about how I've lost the weight and kept it off. Okay. And I have. I was probably 350, and I got it down to 224. And I always throw the figure around that I've lost over 100 pounds, and that's accurate. I was certainly up over 230, probably closer to 250. So when people say you've kept the weight off, I say, yeah, I have. But the truth of the matter is, for the past 2 years, I have been 255, which is really 20, 30, 40, 50, which is really 30 pounds up from where I was at my lowest.
Yeah.
I really did gain 30 pounds back. Now, if you look at Weight Watchers, their average continued weight loss after 2 years is 4 pounds, something like that. It's ridiculous, So leaving off, even if you took the worst case scenario, keeping off 70 pounds for over 5 years is pretty good. How much have you kept off over 5 years, Goudreau?
I'm probably still down about 30.
Mm-hmm. And how much you?
I started at 230. My lowest was 165, and I'm about 195, so I'm probably up 30 as well.
And Matt, you went back up too.
I went back up, yeah. I've only kept about 30 off. I range between basically 30 and 40 off from my 100.
So I have been thinking supernaturally for the past 2 years, if I just eat pretty right and kind of careful, and I'm a hardcore vegan, I don't break that at all now.
Right.
Marshmallows have a little bit of gelatin in them, so I don't eat them. I'm hardcore. But lots of peanut butter, lots of vegan bread with vegan butter, vegan cheese, lots of stuff to cheat me back up. So Jason finally said to me, give me control of your body.
Whoa.
100%. Give me everything. And so I talked to Emily, who prepares most of my food. And Jason did that stuff that Cray Ray didn't really do. He planned out, here's 1,600 calories a day. And you are measuring now, you get 1 cup of rice. You're measuring now, you get 1 cup of beans. You don't have even unlimited salad. You have a huge salad, but that's that. And so it's now been 6 days, and I've lost a good solid 5 pounds.
Wow.
And that's 5 pounds of fat because I'm also putting on muscle while I'm doing that. And my goal now is to get down to, my goal is to get down to 224 in the next 2 months. And then I may try to do what Gregor wants, which is me at 198, which I think is impossible.
Yeah.
That would be 55 pounds from where I am now.
Wow. Crazy.
But we'll see. But I'm going to get down that first amount. So I made that decision to actually do it. And it turns out my personality, I would have been surprised by this if you told me, I jack in very much to a cult.
Yeah.
I have another crazy person telling me everything to do exactly, and it feels good and it's working well. I am such a good Christian.
So you're liking it. You're liking that he's laying it out for you.
Loving it. And today I don't exercise, but I also don't get my supper. I only get my fruit and groats and nothing else.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Are you doing savory groats? Because Ready Rich says savory groats. I always kind of do breakfast groats, but I've never done dinner groats.
How do you do savory groats?
Lately, I've been doing it a lot of Thai and a lot of Indian. Kind of dry, and then I add some sort of curry.
Not just hot sauce, but some sort of curry.
Yep.
How much do you cook dry? Like a half cup?
3 cups total.
Or you make it for the whole week?
Yeah.
So a half cup a day.
See, look at it. Jason has you measuring, and now you're asking other people for measurements. Look at you go. We never talked about the amount of groats we ate before you started doing this with Jason.
Things have changed. Things have changed.
I do the same thing. I don't know what I eat. I make groats for the week, I make a giant amount in a crock pot, and then I just have a bowl full. I don't measure what that bowl full is.
Do you have all different kinds mixed together?
No, I just do the...
You don't have the buckwheat and the...
oh, yes, I do. I have 3 different kinds of groats I mix together to make a groat mixture. Yeah.
Yeah, Reddy's gone wild. Reddy and I have
buckwheat, oat, rice.
50 pounds each or something like that of groats. That
mixed groats?
Many mixed groats.
They're good. Groats are good. As the jazz guys say, they lay well on the horn.
They do. That part is true. That part is true.
You and Reddy had an adventure?
We both had a pilgrimage.
But you didn't go together, right?
We didn't end up going together. Sadly, Reddy has left.
Reddy brought up he's getting his 50-pound bag of groats. If I know Reddy,
sure he's going. Yeah.
If I know Reddy, he's going to get that human being of a bag of groats that he has.
You know, Reddy called me a week ago and said,
"What kind of groats are they there, Reddy?"
Buckwheat, barley. I'm forgetting the other 2.
Oat is one of them.
Yes.
Oat, yes.
And farro.
And they're all mixed together already in that?
I mixed them for both of us.
I see.
Oh, farro. I got to get me some farro groats. I bet those are good. I like a good farro.
We have been enjoying our groats. We have a groat consortium now.
Yeah, I put a half cup of groats with that weird fake sugar, ethyl, whatever.
Yeah.
Ethanol, yeah.
Yeah. I take a half cup of that.
I believe it's pronounced hydrochloroquine.
I put a cup of soy milk on top of that.
Yeah.
And I put them in a thermos. I have the soy milk boiling, put it in a thermos overnight.
Oh,
the next day I have that.
I have the passive cooking. Very nice.
Very passive. I mean, it's cooking with boiling soy for a while, then for like 10 hours, just lukewarm. But it doesn't matter. I heat it up in the microwave.
You have like groat ceviche is what you're eating the next day.
Yes, groat ceviche. So let's hear about this adventure.
Yeah, well, Reddy, like I said, Reddy called me up about a week ago and said there's a giant, the largest train car in the world is coming through town, and he's driving around out in a field looking for it. So he called me up at night, goes, "It's dark, and I'm driving around trying to find the world's largest train car. Have you heard anything?"
It's a train car because it was like a former nuclear reactor or something, right?
Yeah, it's hauling a nuclear reactor.
That's important to the story.
They took a nuclear reactor.
Because you guys went to go find the thing that has nuclear material. Yeah. I would think, boy, I hope it doesn't drive by my house. You guys went to find it.
Yeah.
It actually did go right by my house, and I didn't know.
Other than the itching on that side of his body. Yeah, I read on it. It says, this is about the same. If you're hanging around with it, it's about the same as half of the radiation of a chest X-ray. Like, that was good. They're like, yeah, no, it's okay. It's half as much as a chest X-ray.
We all know that measurement.
That's not good. That's not good. So, like I said, Reddy is driving around at night trying to find it. and can't find it, and does a little more research and figures out where it is the next day. But they've already, by the time we figure out where it is, they've taken it off of the world's largest train car and put it onto a giant truck. And giant truck is not even the words that describe this. You can't even imagine that it's actually a truck. How many wheels does it have, Reddy? Reddy knows.
460 on a 110-foot trailer.
110 foot. So that's a third of a football field.
As a truck, as a one moving truck.
Yeah.
It's actually 6 prime movers. They all have their own tires as well. But the trailer is 110 foot.
460
so it
tires.
Takes six semi trucks to move this trailer?
Yes.
How are the 6 semis rigged together?
4 in the back and 2 in the front.
Only 2 in the front?
Yes.
And they're pushing?
Yeah.
Is there a driver in every one?
Yes.
How do they coordinate?
I have emails out to the owner of the company who has yet to respond.
Can you do a follow-up? Be like, look, bud, there's only one podcast that's going to cover this.
And how fast did it go?
I thought he would be like flattered to have a transportation nerd, but I found out he's kind of like a Maloof character. He's a sports team owner as well. So he's not going to respond to anything.
So how fast is it going?
They ended up going 15 miles a day.
So we can go out and catch him if you guys want to get in the car and go.
Yeah, we all can go check this out, I guess.
So it's like
That's what we did.
1 mile an hour?
I'm not sure they're moving at all.
If you're listening on your bike right now, you can go see this. You can catch up to this thing.
Where are they now?
I was there, 2 days ago, and they were at in Alamo, Nevada. So about you drive up the 15 and turn left on the 93, and it's about 60 miles up the 93 out in the middle of the desert. But it's a beautiful spot. Actually, they've stopped at a nice spot. It's actually the only spot out there that has water. So they've got lakes and a little bit of greenery. It's kind of nice.
They might not be going anywhere. They might have just
they're
beginning their nuclear cult right there at that lake, and that's where they live now.
They're parked in front of a horrible, tiny hotel that has a no vacancy sign, and they must be thrilled about it because everybody in the convoy is staying at the hotel.
Were you the only tourist? Because I imagine they don't want people coming to check out this nuclear thing.
I was the only tourist when I was there. Old Joey and I.
Yeah.
So I have to get into the story of how this started.
Please.
Right.
I am now officially my grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
I need a child to program the VCR. I don't watch network news. I don't watch local news. I very rarely read newspaper articles unless friends send them to me.
You're really missing out. It's a great time to be watching news.
But my newish smartphone shows me a news story a day, and I don't want it to, and I don't know how to tell it to stop. And the story that it gave me on Sunday was that the state's heaviest load was traveling the next day, this Monday. 770 tons, along with an engineering team that has trucks and construction equipment to shore up and buttress the bridges that they're going over. And it was very curious that it didn't mention anything about what the load actually was.
Now, Penn, you've been pretty secure in your household. Had this article popped up on your phone, would you have been figuring out how to leave the house for this?
I would not. But the thing is that nuclear radiation kills the coronavirus.
Yes, it does. We could feel it leave our bodies as we drove around it.
Were they happy to see you?
I wouldn't go that far.
I thought it was cool because all of the guys working on the trucks looked exactly the same.
How do they look?
They're all,
part of their face rotted off?
Yeah, exactly. Their jaw
slowly becoming a David Lynch film where 6 tuplets are driving 6 trucks.
tall, overweight guys with goatees.
So I would fit right in.
I was going to say,
yeah.
Are they hiring?
You need a little extra weight, buddy. You got to get back to the old weight to fit in.
Oh, okay.
It was funny because they really, like, there were 12 of them standing around when we drove by it, and they just all look identical.
Did you see it move?
No.
But there is one crew member that looks different, very different. And that is the guy driving the security van, who is straight out of Central Casting and clearly with federal lineage.
So trim.
Dudley Do-Right. The CIA guy's in the helicopter in Die Hard. He's one of those guys. And we had a little talk.
A little talk. I am picturing Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver talking to the Secret Service guy going, so, how's he doing? You're Secret Service, right? Is that what you were doing?
Something like that. I asked him if I could take pictures, and he said, yeah, but you're going to have to go way over there. And then he let me take pictures, and then I was gone.
Ah.
It was very much like the dog catching the car. Now what?
Joey and I drove 2 hours, found it, drove around it 3 times, and left.
Was he impressed?
Joey or
Yes.
the security? Joey was very impressed.
Okay.
He was screaming and counting all the wheels, counting the wheels.
Now, this is wider. Is there any traffic on this road?
It's actually a very small load. It's just very dense. It's the nuclear reactor in a container. So it's, what would you say, Gudo, 16 by 20 maybe?
Yeah, it's not, the load itself is not huge. It's just solid lead. So
Why do they need such a big bed for it?
Because the weight has to distribute over the road without cracking it.
I see.
yeah, it will run right through the road or break the railroad tracks if it didn't spread it out enough.
We're very familiar with this concept, having worked on Penn and Teller Tell Live for Discovery Channel. We put a ton of cheerleaders on top of 1,000 eggs.
Yeah.
So we know this principle.
This was actually a big problem for the company. It's the nuclear reactor at San Onofre. It's been sitting out in their parking lot since, I believe, 1993, because they couldn't find a way to get it anywhere. The country of Panama refused it because of the weight.
It would tip Panama over.
It would break the canal going through the canal.
Oh, wow.
So where's it going to?
Clive, Utah.
Oh, they don't know. We're just driving around.
Some other
We'll
parking
see.
lot of the nicest diner manager in the world. It's me again, just wondering if you have any plans.
Yeah, taking it to a barbecue spot. They're just going to park chickens next to it.
And they can't break it apart because it's filled with nuclear stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the fuel is out, but it's still radioactive.
Where's it going?
Clive, Utah, to a company that specializes in recycling that kind of thing.
Got heavy shit? Bring it to Clive, is what it says on the water tower as you approach the town.
Heavy and hot.
Clive, Utah, heavy and hot.
No jive. Come to Clive.
You're still writing songs.
Nuclear jive. Bring it to Clive.
The chat says nuclear Mormons.
That's why they're taking it there. Yeah. They're all going to
Yeah, I guess it's a nuclear family business.
No.
So when it moves, it just moves like an inch at a time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
What a
Assume there's
fun
people
gig.
running alongside it looking to see if the road cracks.
They're writing like Civil War letters back to their family right now. Dear Martha, things not moving as fast as we thought it would. It's going to be a long summer.
But cars can get around it?
When I was there, it was on the side of the road. It's just parked on the side of the road.
They closed part of the highway with detours for the first couple days. And now you just have to wait.
Oh, that's a bad day.
Have to wait what? A month?
for them to pull over. I suspect that they're only going a couple miles at a time and then pulling over.
And it takes up both lanes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Crazy. It's crazy.
And then you're tailgating, and someone's like, "That's nuclear," and you're like, "Oh, maybe I should tailgate less. Maybe I should back
Yeah.
off
I can
more."
pass it.
And then, so it's moving like an inch at a time, and behind it is 24 people laying on the horn. Come on, buddy. What are you doing, lady?
Yeah. It travels so slow, it doesn't matter which side you're on. It still seems like you're behind it. Reddy went out and saw it a couple of days before me and reported back and told me kind of the location. And Joey and I got in the car and drove out there. And it had not moved since Reddy saw it.
So when did you go out?
I
Tuesday.
was out there, and I went out on Friday. I went out.
So if I wanted to go today or tomorrow, I would get there in, what, a 2-hour drive?
Yeah, about that. Maybe 2.5. It's pretty far out there.
Is it worth seeing?
I have pictures.
I can save you some time. Do you want to drive by and count the wheels? Because if that's what you want to do, then you should go.
But just taking those photos made Reddy have the heaviest cell phone anyone's ever had.
Now, is there a high school girl with a tiara and a pumpkin on top of it waving?
No, that's too fast.
And what list did you get on, Reddy?
Just the federal security guard.
Yeah, we drove around it 3 or 4 times, and nobody seemed to get suspicious or come after us. So
it's just Reddy's personality. That
well, he stopped and talked to the guy. That seems like a terrible idea.
I drove right up to it was the problem.
Oh,
I intended to talk to one of the lookalike guys and ask him questions about the linkage and stuff like that.
You want to have all the details.
Yes.
Did you go up and go, need any help?
Nope. The guy was in front of me before I got to him. The security van had cut me off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He was not happy with you being there?
He didn't seem distressed, but he was a federal lineage. You know, they're right at the waist level, just like you, right?
He's not going to go, oh boy, we got a guy here. He's not going to go, oh, this is the end of the world. Boy, world's biggest truck. And what else you been doing, Godot?
yeah. Well, you know what? We were talking about a couple weeks ago about the bats. The smallest bats in North America are here.
Biggest truck, smallest bat.
Yeah, and we are on the autism trail. My son and I are.
I have seen tiny bats in my neighborhood. Is that a thing?
There are tiny bats, yeah. There's a western pipistrelle that lives here that is the smallest bat in North America. And usually lives in canyons, so it's probably not at your house. Those are the big ones. Those are the Mexican free-tail bats.
I saw a tiny bat flying around last night.
Cool.
Look about the
Could
size
be.
of my hand.
Yeah, they're like the size of a butterfly, and they fly very slowly. So it's very interesting. But Red Rock has been closed, and we haven't been able to get out to try to find them this year. And it reopened up, and I hiked out there and managed to track down the bats, which is, as it turns out, anytime you decide you want to spot a specific animal, it's really hard. That's the day that animal decides to hide or take the day off. So
Yeah.
this was my second 4-hour hike to try to see the western pipistrelles, but we managed to find them this time.
Well, I've made a big decision, and that is I'm going to put up a bird feeder outside my window because I like looking at the birds. And then my mother-in-law, who is a buzzkill, said, "Oh, you can't put up a bird feeder because they don't look for the regular food. Then when you stop doing it, they all die. You're not doing them a favor by putting up a bird feeder." So I got in touch with Tony Fitzpatrick,
Yeah.
who has his degree in ornithology. Besides, being in prison, and besides doing art. He also has a degree in ornithology. And he
I
says,
did not know that.
that's bullshit. Feed the motherfuckers. Give them some good safflower seeds, black sunflower seeds. Give them some cracked corn. I have 3 bird feeders out there. It does no fucking harm at all. That's bullshit. Just do it. And I wrote back and said, I'm going to do that, Tony. And Tony wrote back, and I said, but I don't have many birds in my backyard. And he says, once you put it out, word will get around. Birds talk.
That's an ornithologist telling you that.
Yeah.
Birds talk.
Birds.
And he said, have you forgiven birds for not having arms yet? And I said, well, no, it makes me uncomfortable, but I'm getting okay with it. When Tony met Bernie Sanders, the topic of Penn came up.
Really?
And yes. So Bernie and Tony were talking about me. And they were also talking about birds. And Bernie said, does Penn like birds? And Tony said, he's made very uncomfortable by the fact that birds don't have arms. And Bernie thought for a while and said, I can see that. Now, my son.
That's a man who could have become president right there. That level of understanding.
My son, when I talked to him about birds not having arms, my son says, you're in a room. There are 2 buttons. One button you push, birds stay the way they are. The other button you push, all birds have arms. Do you push the arms button, Dad? Do you push that? I said, boy. He said, unintended consequences, what you're thinking, aren't you? I said, yeah. I said, the button's right in front of you. Push it. All the birds will have arms just like that.
Oh.
I said, this is like that question about push that button, you get $1 million, but someone random in the world dies.
Yeah.
My son said, no, that one's easy. This one's hard.
Oh, man.
I picture them with their arms, and all of a sudden I get weirded out by that.
Yeah.
That is weird. It's worse with arms. Definitely.
Well, they couldn't get on my roof if they had arms, so I think I might still push that button.
No, wings and arms. I
Wings
think.
and arms.
Oh, never mind.
Then they could fly around and not only grab things with their feet, but with their hands.
Yeah, that's weird. It
It's
definitely it's a superior species at that point.
I'm very, very bothered by them not having arms. My son's little Godonkin made me think, well, maybe the other choice is bad too.
Yeah. Not all problems can be solved, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe some birds have one arm. Even worse, even worse, even worse.
I don't know that I've ever seen a bird trip and fall onto his face.
Oh, that's what it looks like.
There it is.
Oh, wow.
There's our truck.
Oh, I see. So it's really long.
Really long.
But it doesn't look that heavy. I'd be the guy that goes, I bet 5 of us can lift it.
Yeah. I got a pickup truck. Just throw it in the back.
You know, as Jonesy's very fond of saying, when it's time to move a piano, 3 guys grab the bench.
Penn, did you watch Hamilton on Disney this weekend?
I did not, but you know, my wife did.
Yes, because the sun came up. I knew your wife had watched Hamilton.
Have you watched Hamilton?
I did. I watched it. They did a good job filming it.
Did you watch it because you felt forced by your wife, or did you watch it on your own?
Good question. Good question. I would say I was curious about filming live events is always like an interesting thing, you know. Like when you guys do magic specials for television, you magic for TV, you know, or when you're doing Foolish, you're capturing it, but like you found a construct that makes us watch it from that perspective. So I think it's always fascinating to see live things done for TV because I think so many times I've seen it done poorly that I'm always curious what makes it good when it's good. So I definitely was very curious to watch it from a technical standpoint.
And how was it?
They did a great job. Fantastic job. A lot of smart choices when it came to that kind of stuff. Times to make it feel like a movie, times to make it feel like a live show. It's a long show. It's a very long show. But it's great. My kids wanted to watch some of it, which was fun. Go through that or whatever.
I was very happy to see it once.
Yeah.
Live.
Yeah.
I don't have any desire to see it again.
Yeah.
Did you watch it, Godot?
I did not. My wife did, of course, first thing in the morning. I know your wife stayed up. My wife didn't stay up. My wife just got up. 8 a.m. I can hear it in the other room.
Well, that is the audience for this show, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, aren't our wives the audiences?
Yes.
My wife has trained Joey to sing whenever they say his name, what's your name, son? Alexander Hamilton. My son has been trained to sing Alexander Hamilton. So if we are downstairs and it is playing downstairs, my wife will yell, and you can hear my son all the way up in his room stopping playing on his phone and just singing Alexander Hamilton. And it makes me cry every time. It's so beautiful and sweet.
Having watched it a second time, I left with the same curiosity I had the first time, which I was like, man, I do not know enough and think enough about what colonial life was like before we declared our independence. And so I went back and started reading the Washington book I'd put down. And it's just crazy how motherfucking rich and connected our forefathers were. Like, you think about people starting a revolution somewhere else, and you're like, yeah, do it, just like America. And you're like, no. Yeah. At 11 years old, Washington inherited 1,700 acres of tobacco farm and iron ore at 11 years old. He was a fourth generation colonial tobacco farm trader. I mean,
Bill Gates and Elon Musk get together and decide to start a new country.
That's really what it is. Yeah. I mean, that's really what happened.
Well, they had Bezos too.
Yeah.
Bezos, yeah.
If Bezos and all those guys were like, we can talk to other countries, they'll take our call because we trade with them, and we'll work out some deals.
Wow, that's fun.
Yeah. It's fascinating to think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, George Washington's our richest president still.
I think so. Yeah. Like, there's stories of him like, oh, shoot, we're moving to a different part of the property we own for years. And then when you're like, oh, no, big shift. We're going to move to another part of a property we own. It's a huge migration to get to this other part of this thing we own, to live here for a couple of years. I mean, it's just nuts.
Well, yeah, the great part of that is that if you've been to Washington's home, you realize that your house is bigger and nicer than Washington's.
Well, sure. Yeah.
You know?
Right.
That's
crazy.
Thing. We all have better lives than the Founding Fathers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Air
Rich as he
conditioning.
was, yeah. My house is nicer than George's house. His had a better view.
Yeah.
But that was it.
And he didn't have tiny bats.
No.
But he had a lot more birds, right? A zillion more birds.
Probably a lot more birds. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool. I liked his house. It was nice. It also had strings everywhere that you could pull and would ring bells far away, and people would bring you drinks.
Yeah, we have a cell phone. They'll bring you curry.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, there you go. Another example.
We have it much, much, much better.
Yeah, everybody out there who is drooling over Washington's life can now rest easy.
I'm
glad I don't have Washington's teeth.
Yeah, boy, they must have hurt a lot. So we're going to build what is it, memorial garden?
Yeah.
Hero garden.
Love gardens. I went to a beer garden in Brooklyn. I hope it's a lot like that. I love gardens.
And his list of people, Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
He leads with them.
Yeah.
So that the David Duke is kind of not as noticeable.
Yeah, Jackie Robinson was on the list. And
yeah.
It's really like...
Is he just doing the cover of Sgt. Pepper's? Can we just say this? what an asshole. There is a pandemic going on.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, remember when we said to Dr. Greger, well, maybe this opening up will go okay and it won't spread? And Greger looked at me like I just said, maybe next week pigeons won't fly.
Yeah, maybe they'll have arms.
He was right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I still have gigs lined up in August. I can't imagine they're going to go, but they haven't canceled them yet. Yeah.
Ours just got canceled. And I confused Glenn. Glenn said, the gig we had in August at a casino just canceled. I wrote back why.
Just for old time's sake. Wait a minute, but let's go back to your I think we talked about maybe having our own individual hero gardens, Penn, right?
Yeah.
You set up a bird feeder. What about a hero garden? Who would you put back there?
Bob
Dylan. No, no one won money on that bet. That's even money across the board there. That was
that's my list, by the way.
Oh, okay, so you're done. You're all finished.
No, I would do Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Norman Borlaug.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lenny Bruce, George Carlin. Stooges.
Yeah.
4 places for them. You have to have Shemp in there.
Yeah.
Justice Douglas, Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
Nicholson Baker. Annie Baker. Get my bakers out there.
Yeah.
Debbie Harry, Patti Smith. I don't think Bruce makes it.
No, I've already bought every statue there was for mine. They're all coming to my garden. You wouldn't be able to keep it anyway.
Young Bob, old Bob, Christian Bob,
Contemporary Bob.
Contemporary Bob. Whose contemporary album is really good.
Oh, unbelievable. He says, doesn't matter how big your cock is, which Bob is now 3 for 7 of George Carlin's 7 words you can't say on television.
In an album.
Piss, shit, cock, cunt, motherfucker, cocksucker, tits. He's done piss, shit, and cock.
Nice.
So he's 3 out of 7.
Doing one a decade.
I have found myself really distracted by his Big Key West song.
Yes.
There's just a huge sending up of Key West in one of the songs. And the song is 9 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's a 9-minute long song singing about the glories of Key West in a way that I found so strange.
Yes, because he's not singing about Key West. He's saying the word Key West, but he's not singing about it. Did you like the album, Matt?
I did. I mean, it's, we always say that lyrics are poetry, but his albums really seem like just almost stream of consciousness, well-composed, thoughtful poetry.
Did you see the interview in the New York Times?
I saw it. I did not read the whole interview.
Where he says, it's so funny. He says, in one of the songs, he says, I'm Anne Frank and Indiana Jones and even those British bad boys, the Rolling Stones. The interviewer says to him, you compare yourself to Anne Frank, Indiana Jones, and the Rolling Stones. And Bob says, yeah. And they say, well, why? And he says, well, those are the ones that just group together naturally from. And they say,
that's his hero garden.
That's his hero garden.
Indiana Jones is fictitious. And Bob goes, I know. And he goes, well, what does Indiana Jones have in common with Anne Frank? He goes, they're just the
same. Do you think he is living in that space where he knows he's fucking with a reporter?
Oh, yeah. But so does the reporter. And Bob just, he's just having fun. He doesn't care. He's not going to explain to you what Anne Frank, Indy Jones, and also he starts out the album by saying, I sleep with life and death in the same bed.
Yeah. I Contain Multitudes is a powerful song.
Amazing song.
Crossing the Rubicon, you can't stop rewriting that all day in your head.
Right, exactly.
Like you just spend, you end up like getting his voice in your head, and everything you're doing becomes a lyric to Crossing the Rubicon.
And he wants to marry muses.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this record was done for Teller. It's got so much Shakespeare and ancient Greek stuff. Did you listen, Godot?
I have not heard it yet, no.
It was your only homework assignment, you know.
I know.
You had one homework assignment.
I have two. I have another one.
Rough and rowdy ways. But I find it just so trippy. You just get lost in it.
Totally. I mean, I would say like the biggest compliment to it was that I just downloaded Start to listen to it because it was my homework assignment. And the album was over and time had passed. And I was like, oh, I didn't think I was listening to the whole album. And I listened to the whole album. It was really just a great, his style is so different.
And the music is so rich. And he had the oldest person to have a number one album in England.
Oh, that's so cool. Still got his fastball.
Yeah. Or he now has his fastball. He never had an album before.
Oh, it was never number one before? That's so strange. He never had, I mean, he's had number one hits though, right?
He's had one in the U.S. He's had one Billboard number one song. Murder Most Foul.
Oh, okay.
This year.
Really?
Lay Lady Lay, Like a Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
Possibly 4th Street never went to number one.
Times They Are Changing, nothing like that.
Never went to number one.
Even like the Hurricane song when it came out with the movie.
Never went to number one.
Wow.
And the album is also doing better than me. Fabulous.
Maybe we'll ask him to do one of the Bond movies.
So great.
How great would that be? Oh, man, that'd be a better opening than we've ever seen.
And
well,
he wrote past him.
He wrote Lay Lady Lay for Midnight Cowboy.
Oh.
And Schlesinger thought it wasn't commercial enough. So he did Everybody's Talking at Me by Nielsen.
Yeah. Sure.
But Lay Lady Lay is a really good song for Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah.
Really good. Would have liked to have seen that crazy John Voight walking around to that. Although we didn't know how crazy John Voight was at that time. We probably thought at that time Dustin Hoffman was the crazier one.
Yeah.
So your hero garden, Godot, who do you put in?
Neil Armstrong, John Muir, Burt Rutan. I don't know. Stop. It should be. I feel like it should be more scientist. More science based.
Yeah. Well, how many is Trump suggest out of science?
Yeah. Yeah. Fauci wasn't on that list, was he?
And besides Springsteen, who you got, Matt?
Who do I have? I don't know. I'll put. I could put you and Teller in there. I'll put Ray Cronus in there.
Kiss ass.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I gotta go with my heroes. Let's see. I mean, I guess I would have put Jefferson in there, but I guess now that might be a bad idea.
The only shoe-in is Martin Luther King, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, do you think he even knows where this garden is going? Or, like, where it'll be? Or, you know what I mean?
No,
like,
he just wants to associate himself with the monuments instead of the coronavirus.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Although I'll tell you, a big statue of the coronavirus would be pretty cool.
Hey, we know a truck they can transport it with.
Yeah, the greatest influence on my adult life is by far the coronavirus. So here is a statue.
Reddy, who would you have?
In the 90s, I decorated my apartment to look like a TV show set. I won't say the name of the TV show just now, but on the set of the actual show, they had a plaque that was dedicated to the producers and artists of the show.
Mm-hmm.
That was decorated as part of the set. And I copied that plaque and put my heroes on it then. I could probably find it in the other room if you give me a moment.
We're going to give you a moment, Reddy.
Okay.
He has a plaque of his heroes from the 90s.
Yeah.
We're going to let Reddy go get that.
I've seen it.
You have?
Yeah, of course.
When did you see it?
He's had it at his house. I've seen it up at his house.
I don't know. I mean, I don't really know. I don't know how you do that, because one person doesn't do anything. I mean,
No, and then once you start clutching at just anyone you do know, right? Then already you're setting up, which will be this president's legacy, arbitrary standards. And so then anybody can be nominating or not nominating people, and it would be controversial for the rest of its life.
is he doing this whole thing just because he thinks he can put a statue of himself in there?
He's totally trying to sneak a statue of himself in there. That's absolutely true.
Is that Colonel Sanders? You put Colonel... No, that's me. That's me. Well, it looks like Colonel Sanders, kind of a fat guy. No, that's me. Although he would probably have a say on the statue, right? So the statue would be like all buff.
Yeah. Totally.
Is that The Rock?
It'd be like some shredded body. Did you find the plaque ready, Rich?
Oh, of course, it's Star Trek.
I was going to say, I believe Captain Kirk figures prominently.
Oh, I'm on there. So is Copperfield, Harry Anderson, Paul Harris, Tom Mullica, Jerry Andrus, Martin Gardner.
Yeah.
Amazing Randy.
It's Carl Sagan.
Carl Sagan.
Nice.
Let's see what the other side says. Slide it.
The other side is friends and family.
I see.
Wow. So you actually already have an impressive collection of figures.
Where's the highest rank in there, since we don't understand Star Trek stuff?
It's immediate family.
And what's the second? Is Randy at the top, or?
I split it up with family, friends, teachers, and heroes.
I see. Carl Sagan, that's a good list.
So I showed you the hero side.
Is there a villain side if you flip it over?
How'd you get it made?
I worked at an engraving shop.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So you laid it out on a computer and then had it engraved?
I gave it to the owner because he's really good, better than I am. So I don't know exactly. I think he sublimated it.
When you worked at you mean he put it below his consciousness?
It's a chemical process.
I see. Did you actually engrave stuff at the engraving shop?
I did. Mostly name tags for restaurants.
There is a magician in town who will remain nameless, who, whenever he's given an award, I found this out from a trophy shop in town. When he's given an award, like some bullshit Magician of the Year in Scandinavia or something, he goes to the local trophy shop and designs a trophy for himself and then has it engraved with what he won and then puts that up in his lobby as one of his awards.
That's a good plan.
What?
You know, you could do that without having to win the award.
Right. Didn't Trump do that, being on the cover of Time?
Yeah, made it known. Well, you know what's great is that he didn't make his own. He went to someone and said, make a cover of Time with me on it.
Did he really?
He had to. He wouldn't have done it himself.
Right.
You think he would have, That's the funny part to me, that you have to find someone and tell them, I want you to do this.
And you got it like, oh, this must be a joke. This must be for some bit he's going to do. And then you find out when it's covered later on that he was constantly pointed to it at the golf club and was like, that's me, cover of Time.
He did do that, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It just gets crazier and crazier.
Yeah.
I want to give him some pub since I talked about him. His name is Randy Krause.
Okay.
Krause.
His dad could freehand on a sphere.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know what that means just from the words. That's the great thing about language. So you had an apartment that was all set up like Star Trek?
It was mostly just to hide all the equipment. So I put up set dressing flats and lit them up like the bridge of the starship.
Now, did you ever bring over sexual partners?
I need you to put this on.
I remember a comic. I just remember this joke, and it made me laugh. A comic was talking about married guys talking about famous women and saying, you know, if I weren't married, I'd show that Madonna something she's never seen before. And the comic said, what's that, NFL sheets? I don't know who the comic was, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into this, but I finished a couple more books. I read this book called Confessions of a Buddhist Atheist, which is a really good book. This guy's kind of the story of his life, how he became from a hippie to a Tibetan monk to studying all kinds of Buddhism, and now has settled down as a Buddhist with no belief in God, which is also Sam Harris, I suppose.
Yeah.
But meditation's been very, very good for me during this time. How are you holding up, Matt? How are you holding up during the pandemic?
Okay. You know, I mean, like I said, honestly, experiencing a death in the family was like shrank my scope, you know? And so winding it back out, you're like, oh, it's still as bad as when I left it, if not worse. Podcasting, you know, doing behind the scenes of Fool Us on Abracababble, doing Ice Cream Social has been keeping me kind of at least in some kind of pattern. But you know, it still gets pretty depressing at points. And I always say you're scaling, you know, the scale of facing this pandemic has been one, what could have been had this pandemic never arrived. And that's the most depressing. And then on the other scale, to me is like, can I survive this as an animal? Can I just be one of the human beings that lived through this? And then life feels better to look at it from a surviving this perspective kind of thing. I've not been overwhelmed to make this the most creative time in my life. That hasn't hit me at all yet. And mostly because I am spending a lot of time with my children. That them going to school from 8 a.m. to 3 is much more helpful for my creativity than me constantly making sure they have sunblock on while I try to, you know, work on my nest of boxes routine or something, you know?
How are you holding up, Guido?
Things have been relatively good. It's gotten worse in the last few days because I'm trying to do my own taxes, and there's nothing more depressing or confusing or reminds me that my reading comprehension skills are probably not as good as they should be, and that I can't find anything on a computer. It's just going bad.
And how are you doing, Reddy?
It's finally started feeling real the last couple weeks when my former casino property announced that they weren't going to be opening until at least July of 2021.
Yeah. Yeah. Rio's not open.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know when we're doing shows again. It's just amazing. I keep doing, Cameo.com. I keep doing a bunch of these cameos, and those are fun. Those are weird. I had a guy hired me at Cameo.com to talk about Captain Beefheart. Not happy birthday, not happy anniversary, not congratulations on graduating, not we love our dad, but talk to me about Captain Beefheart. And that was pretty fun.
Nice.
And I've watched a few virtual magic shows, which are...
Well, how long was that one? How long was the talk about Captain Beefheart?
Well, I'm supposed to do 30 seconds.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, this is probably 45 minutes.
I only did 5 or 6, but it was nice.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of people have said they've looked up at Cameo.com the one of Andy Warhol eats a hamburger, Penn eats chocolate, drinks some coffee, and they're enjoying that.
Oh, good.
Because you can watch the ones I do for other people.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
I've been doing that. So I've been enjoying doing those. But boy, it's strange. It's just weird. And now Emily's in Utah.
Yeah.
Utah Putty Cat. So that's crazy.
So it's going to get even weirder.
So I'm here with my mother-in-law and the 2 children.
So who makes all your food when Emily's in Utah?
Well, I do some of it, and then she left it all laid out so that we can just put it in the right place.
Okay.
Jason told her what to do, and she did it. I'm very, very pampered. I have no complaints. except that the world's being destroyed around me.
And that you've been a live performer since you were an adult, and you have been able to do that.
This is the longest I've gone without performing for live people in 53 years.
Yeah, exactly. Since the first show.
That's got to be weird.
It's strange, but I mean, you can't complain because everyone else has it worse.
Yes. Yeah.
Everybody else wants everything more than I do.
Yeah.
And needs it more. So I'm the least necessary performer. Least necessary worker.
Right.
So it's we'll leave on a sad, sad note. But hey, you saw the world's largest truck.
Tiny bats and large trucks. Chin up, everybody.
That was Penn Sunday School.
There are some things out there.
Cha-cha-cha. You become naked. Ha, ha, ha. About the size of butterflies?
Yeah.
That's small.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
And thank you for showing me the pictures of the truck, Reddy, because that convinced me not to go out to see it. We love you.